I was just having some thoughts while I was heating up my spaghetti bolognese for dinner around spaciousness to question things when you're in some sort of an organisation or a group or a company or whatever. Religion's an obvious one, but I was also thinking even just any other kind of spiritual group, whether it's organised religion or not, a company where you work or a multi-level marketing company, I find is also kind of falls under this banner where it takes quite a lot to be willing to question what you've previously been happy to believe or go along with or agree with. And depending on your level of investment, the risk of questioning and what it will cost you if the questioning reveals a new kind of disconnect for you is huge. So for me, leaving the religion of my family, my parents, when I was growing up, meant leaving my entire childhood network of family friends, because the religion encourages strongly that all social networking is kind of within the religion. So as a result, you don't really necessarily have a whole lot of friends or family friends outside of the church. And so when you leave all of that. And it's one of the ways that's quite effective at discouraging people from questioning and eventually leaving. And then I also started thinking, actually this is an older thought from a while ago around multi-level marketing. Once your income is heavily invested in the product or the system or whatever it is that you sell, it becomes 1,000 times more difficult to then question that when, let's say, some information comes out around the products that you're selling. Maybe they're not as great as they say they were, or the conduct of the founders is something that is under question or something like that. And if you're years deep and you've got all of these levels and layers in your, I can't remember what it's called in multi-level marketing, when you have, kind of uplines, that's it, uplines and things going on, and you've invested time and money and resources and effort in training and travel and all the things, and all of your income is coming from this structure, then it becomes an even bigger proposition to be able to sit there and go, oh, ouch, these products actually don't do what they've said that they do, or the founders just took a stand on this topic which disagrees with where I sit on this topic. But wow, like my whole income is and maybe I'm the sole income earner for my family or in my partnership, and that's all tied up in this structure. It becomes even more difficult, or a bigger risk and a bigger cost, to question and potentially come to a place where you feel to walk away from something that no longer sits right with you. It's massive. And I guess some of that is big because you're already deep in it, and then for me, I think I've inherently sort of steered away from things that could get me into that place where I'm neck deep in a structure that provides my income, where I don't have control over the quality of the products, or I don't have control over what the founders say or do or believe in, or whatever. And maybe that's a criteria to consider before going deep into an organisation or a structure or a company or whatever that gets you so embedded that it's discouraging to question it. It's discouraging to uncover a disconnect. It's the motivation is there to ignore actually the disconnect, or I can't quite think of the word, but a place internally where there's a mismatch for you around values or beliefs or actions, in terms of retaining your sovereignty and your power can that become a criteria for decision making? To go, wow, if I go 5 years, 10 years, 20 years deep into this particular organisation, what happens if something no longer aligns for me? How do I get out? What's affected? Is my entire social structure affected? Is my relationship with my partner affected if we believe differently? Is my income affected? Like, what does it mean to question and potentially step away from the structure? And it reminded me of a story I saw on social media. It was a while ago now, and I really loved it. I wish I'd saved it. About this Jewish woman in New York, and I think she was either in her 80s or in her 90s. I can't remember, but she was well advanced in age and well embedded in the Jewish religion. And whatever it was, I can't remember the kernel that caused her to begin to question at that age. But she did. She started to really kind of look deeply and go, am I still aligned with, these beliefs and these teachings? And it turned out she wasn't. And so at that very late stage in her life, she made what would have been a really big decision to step away from the religion that she'd been in since birth. And I loved it. I loved the courage that would have taken to be willing to go, hang on a minute, something's not right for me anymore and I need to look. And then be willing to take a stand for that decision. And I imagine it was upsetting, and it caused waves within her family circles or social circles, and certainly in her religious kind of connections and friendships. But it was inspiring to go, wow, even if she's only on the planet for another 10 or 15 or 5 or 2 years, she was willing to question and willing to take a risk and willing to take the hard decision, rather than just sort of go, oh well, it's kind of where I've been my whole life and I'll just cruise along till the end. But to actually kind of be willing to upend a really long investment takes monstrous courage, and is a big act of sovereignty, of commitment to her internal sovereignty. And I don't even remember her name. I can't even Google her. I don't know if she's still alive. It would be amazing to sort of hear more, I think. I'd be curious if she was interviewed in more depth around how that was for her. She could be the patron of the power to the chooser movement, because that's definitely a powerful maneuver. I'd love to know what you think.